Did you have to borrow money to start this place up?
SBA loan. We got an SBA loan.
Right.
So I went to some different banks and applied for some different SBA loans, and none of them would pay me any attention. And then two people finally said they would. One was a customer of mine at Roach Paint. He or at Glidden. He owned a bunch of rent houses, and he used to buy paint from me, and he liked me. He was a banker. And so he came back and said, I'll give you the SBA loan. And my banker over at Southwest Bank, remember Southwest Bank? Right by Roach Paint over there in Plymouth Park?
Yes.
Southwest Bank said they would too. And so I decided to go with Southwest Bank, since that's where I had my relationship with anyway. And the banker there was a young guy. He was my age or younger. And he said, yeah, come on in, we'll talk about it. And he said, yeah, we need this and we need that, and put together a business plan, and we'll do the deal. He said, I just need one other thing. And I said, what's that? And he said, I need your dad to co-sign. And I thought, okay, I'm 30-something years old, because my dad had a bank account there for 50 years. And I said, okay. So I called my dad. My dad co-signed for me at 30-something years old.
Wow.
Got a 10-year note, and I paid it back in 7 years.
What was the name of your company when you first opened it up?
The company's always been RL Fairless Inc. And the reason I went with RL Fairless Inc. is because that's my initials, but it's also my brother's initials. Ricky Lee Fairless, Randy Lynn Fairless. So I just always thought that was cool. But when I first opened up, we were DBA Easy Riders of Dallas. And in 2002, I changed it to DBA Strokers Dallas. Yeah.
And there was a reason for that.
We were a franchise when I first opened. We were a franchise off of Easy Riders magazine. Well, after 6 years, the guy that owned the magazine decided he didn't want to do the franchise deal anymore. And it was good for me because we were paying royalties to him. And he said out of 30 stores, I was the only one that was consistently paying the royalties.
Wow.
So
small wonder he got out of that.
Yeah, so he got out of it, and I was scared to death, because I've been Easy Riders for 6 years. Best thing ever happened.
How many family members do you have working here?
Well, my mom ran my bar for 15 years. My sister runs the bar now. My youngest daughter runs the front counter. My oldest daughter works here part-time. She works for Gas Monkey full-time, and she works for me part-time. My wife runs the office. My brother-in-law runs, he's my IT guy. My niece works here at the bar. I think that's it.
Okay.
I always have nieces and nephews and people that kind of come work part-time as they're teenagers. My granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter's 9. I took her to birthday lunch the other day, and we're talking about her coming to work up here in the summers in a couple of years. Kind of a rite of passage. You got to work in the family business a little bit.
Have any of your family members, have they worked on the motorcycles themselves?
No.
No welding or anything like that?
Not really.
Okay.
No. No, that's pretty specific. So the people that I hire to do that are usually young people that have graduated from a trade school doing that. And if any of you young people have You know, if you think maybe college isn't for you, I would say that college is an awesome thing. But if you're not going to do that, go to a trade school. You know, I mean, if you can be if you like being an auto mechanic, there's trade schools. If you like being a motorcycle mechanic, there's trade schools. And, you know, I own a hot rod shop too, and I'm actually trying to hire, I need 2 mechanics for my hot rod shop, and I need 1 mechanic for my motorcycle shop. You know, I mean, and these mechanics make good money. They make good money.
Yes, they do. You have how many people working for you?
Pre-COVID or COVID?
Well, we're going to come out of COVID one of these days.
60.
So 60, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's between the companies that own.
Okay.
60.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
One time you told a story about one of your workers pilfering from your auto parts. Tell us.
Motorcycle parts.
Yeah, without mentioning any name.
Right. He was a parts guy, worked his way up to be a parts manager. Nice guy, we liked him. And I knew that he had served a little time in prison. That didn't matter, you know, I mean, everybody needs a second break, and he was a likable guy. And trusted him explicitly, you know, and he would, you know, he checked parts in and he would ship parts out to different places, and, you know, he was the parts manager. One day my wife said, Susan said, something funny's going on in parts, and I said, why do you say that? And she said, I don't know, there's just something funny going on. I can't pinpoint it. I didn't think much about it, and then about a month later she said, you need to check on something. And I said, what? She said, there's a lot of parts being shipped to an address in Irving. And I said, Irving? And she said, yeah. And I said, why would somebody, she said, I don't know, it's being shipped to an address in Irving. So we looked that address in Irving up. That was my parts manager's house, because he rode a motorcycle to work every day. So when he would steal stuff from us, he would package it up like it was a UPS, and, you know, to like he was shipping parts to Grand Rapids, Michigan or something, and he was shipping them to his house in Irving, where he was taking them and selling them online or wherever. And we caught him doing it.
You had to hire a private detective for that, right?
We hired a private detective for a similar deal like that. But, you know, the sad truth is, it's not unusual for people to steal. And what they do is, they justify it. They don't say, I'm stealing from this guy, and boy, I feel bad about it. I'm just, you know I'm a crook. They don't say that. They justify it. I'm stealing from this guy, but it's okay because he pays the other guy more than he pays me. He doesn't do this, or he makes me come in on, you know, whatever. They justify stealing in their mind. They don't think they're a crook. They're taking, they're getting even. They're making, you know, they're making their own rules up as they go along to justify being a thief. So.
It's sad.
It is sad. And he went to jail, by the way, again.
You used to give his kid candy.
I did.
So how many businesses are here now?
I'm gonna say 5.
Okay. There's Strokers.
Motorcycle shop.
Okay.
Barn Grill. Custom parts company. Insurance company. And Big State.
Big State. Okay.
Big State is our diner over in Irving.
Right. What happened to the tattoo people?
Tattoo people was one of those stealing things, and I got rid of them.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a tattoo shop for about 10 years ago, and they beat it out of me. They beat it out of me.
So, do you sell online overseas?
We do. We sell a lot of stuff overseas. I just sold a T-shirt to a guy in Switzerland today. Just today.
Well, do you have to modify your motorcycles for overseas?
We haven't sold a lot of bikes overseas, a few, but yeah, you have to, they go through customs, but depending on which country it goes to, they know what needs to be done. So they'll tell you, hey, you know, take it apart to this level or whatever.
Now, the magazines, you write for magazines, right?
I do.
Now, who do you write for?
I write for MPN, Motorcycle Power Sports News, which is an industry publication. And I write for American Iron magazine, which is the largest selling Harley magazine in the world, but they just folded last month.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's 2 magazines.
2 magazines every month.
Did they pay you for that?
They do.
Yeah.
So writing is very therapeutic to me. When I write for the industry publication, my articles are letters to my mom in heaven. So they all start out, Dear Ma, I hope you're doing good up there in heaven. And, you know, I talk about things that are happening here at Strokers and things that are happening in the industry and things that are happening in my personal life. They're letters to my mom.
Well, you have a, talk about the Big State. What made you decide to set up Big State?
Big State is an Irving tradition since 1948. My parents used to hang out there, probably yours did too. And, you know, it was the drugstore in Irving that everybody went to. But during high school, it was a hangout for the high school kids in the 50s, because Irving High School was right over by Big State. And my dad said that the kids used to, after school, they would go to Big State and hang out. And I said, why? Because Big State's on the corner of Irving Boulevard and Main Street. Well, what he reminded me was Irving Boulevard used to be called, you remember? First Street.
Right. Yeah.
So he said all the kids used to run up and down First Street because it was, you know, Big State was on the corner, Main and First. And he said, so the kids they'd meet at Big State, and then they'd watch their buddies go up and down the main drag, and they'd drink a milkshake and eat a patty melt. You know, it was just, the drugstore was the hangout. And they'd only let 10 kids in at a time, but he said, you know, they'd go in and get a milkshake, and they'd all come back, or a Dr. Pepper or something, and they'd all come back outside and just hang out watching the kids leave with their hot rods after school. My grandma used to take me and my brother there, you know, and you had the little swivel stools that we still have. So she'd go get a prescription. We'd say, can we get a milkshake? Can we get a? She'd say, yes, yes. And so she'd take us, we'd sit down. She'd put my brother on one side of her and me on the other so we couldn't wrestle. And we'd say, can we get 2 milkshakes? So she would get 1 milkshake and 2 glasses. You know, because we're 7. We'd say, Grandma, I want a chocolate, and he wants it. No. We're going to split a milkshake. Okay.
Well, so you decided to buy it.
It went out of business. And we got sad and decided to buy it. And at some point, I'm going to sell it. But I want to sell it to somebody that'll keep it going. I have my hands full over here.
Yeah.
I have my hands full with the motorcycle shop and all that. We bought it almost 7 years ago to keep it alive. Well, the way I look at it is I've kept it alive, and you know, I want to pass the torch on to somebody younger that has the time to fool with it. You know, I don't have time to fool with it. We kept it alive.
You renovated it.
Renovated it, you know, let somebody else take it on and let it be their, you know, their deal.
Are you looking for a buyer right now?
Talking to a couple of people.
Okay.
You want to buy it?
If I had the money, maybe I would.
It's a full-time job. It needs to be, the difference is Big State needs to be an owner-operator. You know, I go over there every morning and count the money. Other than that, I'm there a few times a week. Maybe we eat lunch or we go in there, but we are not running the day-to-day operations. I have a manager that does that. And she does a great job. You know, my oldest daughter ran it for years. She did a great job. It needs to be somebody that owns it, runs it, that's there every day. And, you know, I mean, I make my living over here on Harry Hines. So, I've had offers of people that want to buy it and turn it into something besides Big State. Not interested. Not interested. If it's the right deal, I'd sell it. I'm fixing to be 64. The COVID thing has completely changed things, you know, so all my focus is here on these businesses. My bar is actually closed right now because the governor's got the bars closed. So we filed some paperwork to change the license and try to get it back open. So, you know, I'd like to.
Can you open it back up as just a grill?
That's what we've applied for.
Okay.
Not just a grill, but a grill that sells 51% food. So we'll see. But yes, the answer is yes. It's going through the process because all the bars are trying to do the same thing. If you, in other words, if you have a kitchen, you can change your license and be allowed to reopen under this COVID Act thing.
Why does it take such a long time?
Because every bar in the state's trying to do the same thing if they have a kitchen. And plus, you know, the TABC is there, the state's cutting money, you know, because the bar was closed for 3 months and then it's been closed for another month. Well, guess what? That's a lot of tax revenue that the state of Texas is losing on the taxes that all these bars pay. So I just heard today where the TABC is making all kinds of cutbacks and hiring freeze and stuff because they don't have the tax dollars from sales of alcohol coming in. So.
Well, I'll be glad when COVID is over with.
Yeah, me too.